Welcome back to ALPB Roundup. I'm Ryan here with not a daily roundup, but something a little bit different, something exciting, something I've been working on for a couple weeks, something that I'm so excited for that I dressed up. That's right, I'm wearing a clean t-shirt today, so tell your friends. Ever since a couple weeks back, it was confirmed for me that, well, without an All-Star game, there also wouldn't be mid-season All-Star awards for the Atlantic League, and I thought to myself, well, not from the league, but maybe from ALPB Roundup. So what we have here today is the ALPB Roundup Mid-Season All-Star Awards for the Atlantic League. How we did this, we put together a poll, got 20 voters for it. 1 being myself, because I'm selfish, 6 being front office members from around the league, 12 people who are either media people from around the league or just people surrounding the league, kind of working within and just following indie ball closely. A lot of people have like podcasts or similar things going on. And then 2 players splitting the votes. 1 North Division player who voted on South Division, 1 South Division player who voted on North Division, keeping things fair, no hometown bias here. So I say it's time that we get into it with the ALPB Roundup All-Star Awards. Without further ado, let's take a look at the catcher position in the North Division, where Carlos Castro, no surprise here, he ran away with the vote, leading the league in OPS, only guy over 1-1 as of today. The Blue Crabs' Joe DeLuca, he makes the team as the division's number 2 catcher. Sal Giardina just missed out on that spot, very close, 1 vote away from forcing a tie. I don't know what I would have done if there was a tie. There were no ties in this whole thing, which is great, because every time I looked, I was like, we're going to see what happens, because I had no backup plan. I was just going to maybe DM both guys, and whichever one responded first gets the spot. Is that how All-Star teams happen? I don't know. This is my first time taking a shot at this. Anyway, in the South, much closer voting. Again, no surprise on that one. First half champion legends, they got Jordan Pacheco to win the vote there. Pacheco slashing .354, .432, .528 in his 37 games this season. He'll be backed up by the Rockets' Stuart Levy. Over at first, the Barnstormers Olympian Blake Galen won the vote by a sizable margin. He's rocking a .917 OPS on the season. Behind him is Nelly Rodriguez, who has had a great season himself, just returned from a Mexican League stint. Without that stint, we might have seen him actually take that first spot here. In the South Division, you've got Jerry Downs garnering more than half the votes in the South Division for High Point. He's slashing .314, .427, and .562 with 8 homers in 37 games. Lexington's Keon Barnum grabs the second All-Star spot as the reserve, beating out the Powers' Emmanuel Tapia by that much. Notable here, Lancaster's Kelly Dugan, he tends to be a DH. He was in the first base voting category because we didn't have a DH category. There just weren't enough qualified hitters. We did have qualifiers on this, I should mention that as well. 90 plate appearances for a batter, 60 if you were a catcher because you get your days off. Pitchers, a minimum of 12 innings pitched and 5 appearances, because that would cover any reliever who had 5 appearances and worked enough where we can kind of vote on something, and guys not just putting up outlandish stats, because there are those guys who pop into a few appearances and then they're gone to an MLB organization. Same thing goes for starters. 5 appearances covers that you were established in the league and you're good. So Kelly Dugan, he just missed out in the first base voting. That's why you don't see him pop up anywhere else here. Nelly Rodriguez did beat him out. It was pretty close, but Nelly Rodriguez did grab that second spot. So moving ahead here to second base in the North Division, where Steve Lombardozzi squeaks past Melvin Mercedes to grab the starting spot in the North Division. Despite Mercedes' .359 average, Lombardozzi's playing time throughout the year and pop seemed to put him over the top in most people's minds, just sort of talking about the voting a little bit with people who sent in their poll. In the South was also close at second base as Scott Kelly claims the top spot representing the West Virginia Power ahead of Lexington's Ben Aklinski. Kelly's power numbers haven't really been there like Aklinski's, but he's still got a .428 on base. He'll be actually the lone starting representative across the position players for the Power. At third base, Lancaster's Blake Alamond, he grabs the top spot. He's backed by Southern Maryland's Josh McAdams. In the South, Michael Russell and DJ Peterson come out on top at third base. It was an extremely competitive third base group. Think about the names that did not make this All-Star team. Alberto Callaspo, Josh Sala, Jimmy Paredes. You don't really notice that third base is so stacked across the South Division until you realize, man, we had 5 very viable All-Star candidates on 4 teams. So that's what's going on in the South. Again, you can overlook it until you really step back and look at it. At the shortstop position in the North, Clear Louis Rondon squeezes ahead of Ryan Jackson to get the nod as the North's top shortstop. Jan Sanchez, he also almost grabbed a spot here. In the South, Roberto Baldequin ran away with the vote as he deserved to. He's been out of his mind, slashing .374, .467, .581 for Lexington. Mike Osinski ends up second at shortstop despite his 1.006 OPS. So that's a tough break for Mike Osinski, but hey, all-star. Outfield. In the outfield, the voters each got to select 3 outfielders from each division. We'll check out how that went. In the North, it's Caleb Gindel way ahead, with 90% of voters awarding him a spot. The other 10% must just hate happiness. Gindel leads the league with 20 home runs and boasts a 1.047 OPS. Behind him, we have his teammates Alejandro De Aza and York's Melky Mesa. Another barnstormer, Trayvon Robinson, he's a reserve, as well as a pair of Ducks, LJ Mazzilli and Daniel Fields, to round out the North Division's positional players. In the South, voting was led by Cole Sturgeon and Boog Powell. Sturgeon's teammate in Lexington, Tillman Pugh, rounds out the starting outfielders. A third Lexington outfielder, Courtney Hawkins, is joined by Powell's teammates Jake Skoll and Mike Poppy, and these two teams dominated the outfield voting. Gastonia Lexington outfielders received 75% of all the votes cast in this section. At the outfield spots, there were some snubs here. Zach Collier from the Blue Crabs definitely could have earned a spot, as well as Stephen Cordulo from High Point. So only 6 outfield spots. That makes things really tough and really tight across a very talented outfield core in the South Division. Lancaster, by the way, manages to grab 5 of the 8 starting spots in the North. That might balance it out when we start talking about pitchers tomorrow. Lexington has an all-star at all 8 positions, 3 outfielders, and across the entire infield. Lexington legends. If you want to have an idea of how good that team is, just look at the voting there. Again, this is rivals at times, just like that dude's too good to keep off the all-star team. So that's where the voting base we got a lot of honest answers here. That's actually going to do it for our position players for the day, talking about midseason all-stars. I'm going to post up the starting 8 for midseason all-stars and their reserves on Instagram at some point today. Tomorrow I'm going to be back with our pitchers who received all-star spots, and we'll talk a little bit more. Until then, enjoy your day. If you want game recaps, we're going to do game recaps on the series roundup probably on Monday morning. And we'll have maybe a little more all-star content coming your way. I'm Ryan from ALPB Roundup. Have a good one.